All right, I'm going to come at this one a little different. May 7th in light heavyweight action, we have Dmitry Bivol defending his WBA super title against the Undisputed super middleweight champion, Canelo Alvarez. I'm not going to bother with their records. It's just, I do that every damn video or podcast, so I'm just going to move on with something different. I'm coming at this from a boxing standpoint, not from any shadow games or anything, contracts or any bullshit like that the fans like to bring into it. I'm going pure boxing for this, and that may bite me in the ass. I do not care. I'm looking at this from a boxing fan, not somebody who fanboys for a certain fighter. Now, I like both of these fighters, by the way. I have many problems with them and their management and how they weren't able to get certain fights, yada yada, this, that, and the other. Although Canelo seems to have a much easier problem making the big fights, as we see. But here nor there, let's move on. I'm looking at this from a pure boxing standpoint once again. And Canelo Alvarez, if you notice, when he gets up to 175, and I don't know what he was thinking of going to 200, maybe he still wants that. But his knees don't really hold up that well. His movement is not there at the higher weights. Kovalev was able to do things that a lot of fighters that Canelo fought weren't able to do before. Yes, Kovalev lost by TKO 11. Bivol is not a past-it Kovalev. Okay? He's far better. People will debate me on that just because they like to fanboy about Kovalev. Okay? Bivol's not drinking himself to death. How about that? Bivol knows how to actually try and fight every damn person instead of hiding. Okay? There's a difference between wanting to be a fighter and then wanting to be a face of an organization. Bivol just wants to fight. That's what he does. He fights. If he can't get the best fighter, then he goes to the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one. Because everybody else has to make excuses, Bivol just wants to fight. Canelo just wants to fight. Yes, he's the brand and the face, but he wants to fight. So don't take that away from him. Both of these fighters are that. They are fighters. They're not boxers. Yes, they box. That's their job. But these are true fighters. If boxing didn't exist, they would be in MMA. If MMA didn't exist, they'd be in Kung Fu. If Kung Fu didn't exist, they'd be in whatever. Combat. These people are combat ready. Fisticuffs. They want to fight. And I don't take Canelo lightly. And of course, nobody does, but everybody wants to bring up, well, I won't say nobody. A lot of people will just say, oh, Canelo's a hype job. He's got all these contracts and weight clauses and all this bullshit. Canelo's a fighter. You know, you got management doing all that shit. So blame his management for all that shit. Because Canelo just fights. Yes, he may maneuver around for some smart little tactics. Yes, I will agree on that. But so does everybody. Muhammad Ali did that. Okay? The greatest of all time. They all do that. Mayweather. Your precious Mayweather. Who I have respect for. But your precious God Mayweather. He did a shitload of that. So I don't want to hear it. Pure boxing. Again, Bivol is not Kovalev. Bivol is an interceptor. He stops the game plan before it starts. Again, I have respect to Canelo, but if Kovalev, a past-it Kovalev, was able to do that to Canelo, and I'm not saying Canelo hasn't learned and grown from that fight. He has. But when you're going up against a true interceptor that stops the game plan, that stops everything, and that you have to go to game plan A, B, C, D, when he keeps on stopping that, what do you do? A lot of people like to grill him for the Umar Salamov fight. Do you know what boxing is? Do you know what a sport is? Do you know that there's rules in the sport? It's not called knockout. It's called boxing. And he stopped Umar Salamov's game plans. All of them. Because Umar didn't just try one thing and call it quits like Billy Joe Saunders. Or Oscar Valdez. No, Salamov tried multiple things and couldn't get through. Now, Canelo could have learned all he needed from Kovalev to where he can pick off a Bivol. But it's going to be very damn hard. This will be, I think, Canelo's hardest fight to date, past Triple G, past all that. This will be his toughest fight. I don't know what everybody else is thinking. I don't know who everybody else is picking. Again, respect to Canelo. But he just bit off more than he can chew. This is a pure interceptor. And I could be wrong. I don't care if I am. You can rub it in my face. That's the game. You make a pick, you throw it out there, and you get bad feedback. Oh my gosh, it's like barbershop, a barbershop conversation, locker room conversation. You make a bad pick and you get it thrown back in your fucking face by your teammates or your colleagues or your whatevers. So I'm not ashamed if I get it wrong. I'm not afraid to be called out if I get it wrong. But for the winner, I have Dmitry Bivol by unanimous decision. You can say decision or whatever, but he's going to stop Canelo's game plan. I believe that. He's going to be the interceptor. A lot of people like to say, oh, interceptor, that's just Bruce Lee, way of the fist, Jeet Kune Do, all that shit. No. There's interceptors in all combat sports. Some are better at it than others. In a certain way, Floyd Mayweather was an interceptor. He was a counterpuncher, but he also was an interceptor, and he had a lot of styles. The best always have multiple styles. Dmitry Bivol has multiple styles, and I'm not saying Dmitry Bivol is infallible. And I'm not even gonna fuck with that because I'm on a roll. Anyways, you know what I meant. So I'm gonna keep on rolling. Dmitry Bivol got knocked the shit out of by Joe Smith Jr. I forget. I think it was at the end of the 9th round. But Dmitry Bivol let his guard down for 1.2000 seconds. Just that little bit. Joe Smith capitalized. Hit the shit out of him. You saw Dmitry Bivol close his eyes and bite down on that gum shield. He's like, I was a fucking moron. And since then, he hasn't let up. He hasn't had that Joe Smith Jr. moment to where something has gone through and fucked him up. He has been the interceptor. And that's what I think he's going to do. Again, Bivol by decision. I think unanimous. I think he's going to come out, this is his coming out party. Andre Ward retired because that little bitch didn't want none of Bivol. Okay? And for you Andre Ward dick riders who haven't actually seen him fight, ask people in San Francisco and Oakland what they think of their dick-punching champion. They'll call his shit out just like everybody else. Anyways, Dmitry Bivol by unanimous decision over Canelo Alvarez. Later.